So for the last 6 months, I have been the owner of this little crested gecko, Isla. When it comes to handling her, I find that she'd rather cling to my hand than jump, which was quite a surprise since prior to buying her, all I saw in videos on YouTube were crested geckos who would only really tolerate handling for a little while and then they'd jump away. If I want to take her out of her tank, I'll usually scoop my hand under her belly and wait for her to grip onto my hand with her tail and feet, rather than pulling her off what she is originally on. But watch out, because that little tail is very sneaky and will cling on to things as you try to take her out of the tank. I had to recreate this next scene because unfortunately I wasn't filming at the time it occurred. So I walk into my room and switch the light on. As I did this, Isla decided she wanted to jump on the light switch, but unfortunately her feet really weren't sticking. At this point, she literally wrapped all of her tail around one of my fingers as tight as possible, as I guess she thought she was about to fall. I placed down the lens, which was in my other hand, and reached up with my right hand to assist her, but before my hand could get to her body, she used her mouth to grip. Yeah, she bit me. But I have to say, it wasn't aggressive. I believe she thought she was going to fall and her feet weren't working, her tail was fully used. What else was she going to use? So she used her mouth. Pain-wise, I did not even feel the bite, I just suddenly noticed my finger was in her mouth. The only comparison I can do for this is if you put your finger between two pieces of paper, that's seriously how much it hurt. So yeah, that's a little insight how crested geckos really use their whole body to grip, which I guess explains why they're such good climbers. That comes to my next point, setup. These guys like tall tanks and lots of plants. The ones that stick to your walls come in very handy in the day when your gecko wants to sleep, and other things like standing plants, vines, driftwood, etc. come in handy when they want to climb from one side of the tank to the other. So housing a gecko in a short tank with one small plant is pretty neglectful as an owner. If you can't afford the setup yet, then please just wait, save up your money before buying a crested gecko. Also, talking about plants, yes, these plants do look like weed. For some reason lately I've had loads of comments about it. I don't know why, but this seems to be quite a standard design for hanging plants over here. After you've had a gecko for a while, I think you get pretty good at spotting them amongst the plants in the daytime. So here's a little test for you guys. I'm going to give you a few seconds to see if you can spot Isla in this shot. Feeding is incredibly easy. Isla seriously favours repashy and jelly pots over live food. She's only ever eaten one cricket, and I've tried her with others, but she's just completely uninterested. My only problem with repashy is I find I throw a lot of it away. It seems to dry up pretty quickly, and usually 3/4 of what I've made up ends up in the bin. Because of this, I only really use a small amount of powder, but I'm now thinking that maybe if I make up more, it won't dry out so quickly, so that's what I've done here. You then simply add water until the food looks a bit like a thickish milkshake, but occasionally I will add it slightly runnier, as I know by the time she actually gets to the food, it would have probably dried a little bit. She now has 2 feeding canopies, the one I brought her from Exoterra, which currently houses 2 jelly pots, and the dripper from Lucky Reptile. This dripper is honestly terrible. It's held up by a flimsy bit of metal, so you don't want to fill it up with too much, and all the inside went mouldy and paint from the inside got into the water, so I would not recommend this at all. However, Isla does seem to like occasionally sleeping up there. Humidity is a big deal when it comes to crested geckos. As well as spraying the tank twice a day, I also have a fogger which I only use on the odd occasion, but she does seem to really like it. Also, a quick tip that I learnt from Crested Gecko is that adding some tinfoil on top of the tank can really help with humidity. I also add some bubble wrap underneath the tinfoil to prevent the wire mesh rusting too much. Overall, crested geckos are great little creatures. They don't require too much daily maintenance, but as I said earlier, please do not buy one if you can't provide the most basic housing requirements. These guys seriously love to climb. Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to check out Isla's other videos.